Welcome back to ZB Monologue. Today I'll be sharing how I got my toddler, Zoya May Grace Black, to eat anything. So I'll be sharing some tips, some tricks. So yes, let's get into it. Hi, say hi Zoya, say hi. She's eating plantains. So I took a friend's advice and actually jot down some points so that I actually don't forget, because Zoya is just all over the place. So let's get right into the video. No disclaimer before I start. These are what worked for Zoya and I. So it may not work for you guys, but this is what worked. And if you have any tips or tricks that you'd like to share, then you can just comment below so that other mothers can see and maybe, you know, implement whatever, right? So the first thing is, do you want to hug mama? Do you want to give mommy a hug? Give mommy a hug. All right. So this was actually a question and answer I did on Instagram, and a question was, how do you get Zoya to eat what you cook, and does she self-feed or feed herself? So I decided not to answer the question in a question and answer, but in an actual video about the tips and tricks that I do, right? So the first thing is that from the get-go, I gave her every single thing. Initially, I was really scared about allergies, but then my doctor told me the longer you wait to give her allergy stuff, the more prone she is to getting the allergy. So I decided that, you know what? And then she's like, give her all the allergy stuff before once. I'm like, yeah, all right, done. So I gave her every single thing: pineapples, peanut butter, every allergy thing, eggs, any allergy thing that you could think about, I gave her. So there were no reservations for me, and in that essence, there was no reservation for her as well. And the next thing is that I allowed her to choose if she wanted me to feed her or if she wanted to feed herself, because I realized that sometimes I want to just push food at her, but then sometimes she just doesn't want me to feed her. She wants to feed herself. And if I push and feed her, then she's just like, I don't want any food at all. I'm hungry, but I don't want any food. So I watched her cues, gave her the opportunity to choose if she wanted me to feed her or for her to feed herself. Another thing I did was eat with her and offer her anything that I'm eating, because a mother once said that, you know, if you want your child to eat healthy, just eat healthy too, because remember, they're in the copying stage, so they're copying every single thing that you're doing. So so I had to coordinate my food time so that while she's eating, I'm eating, and that I'm eating what she's eating, so that she knows that it's okay to eat, right? The next thing I did was keep the food exciting. Yes, their palates are virginal. Yes, they don't know that a lot of food exists, but they have preferences. Whatever I feed Zoya in the morning, I cannot feed her in the evening. I cannot feed her in the afternoon. Sometimes I can't even feed her the same thing for the next 2 weeks. If I give her egg today, I need to give her egg in the next 2 weeks, because she's not going to want it tomorrow or the next day. So I had a quest to keep food exciting, and that is initially why I actually started the page, just to keep a log of the food that I'm giving her, so that I know when I gave her this, right? So we need to keep it. Come here, Zoya, come here. Be a trouble she are going with. All right, so I really needed to keep food exciting for her. All right, let me give you a peek. The other thing is change up her utensils. initially I had some baby utensils, but then remember she's in the copying stage, so she really wanted mommy's utensils, right? So sometimes I gave her the utensils and she's like, So when I gave her my big girl spoon, my big girl fork, she wanted it. So, you know, and she never wanted a sippy cup, she wanted out of my glass cup. So sometimes it's okay just to like share utensils with her, give her, so that she feels like she's big and that she feels like, oh, she's getting big girl spoon, big girl, you know, big girl spoon, big girl cups, big girl utensils. And sometimes she doesn't want anything at all. She doesn't want any utensils, right? She just wants to use her hands, and that's okay. That's quite fine. So just figure out what the utensils are, the cups, the spoons, whatever, and see if you can figure out a way to work within that, right? The next thing I did was designate food times. The idea behind this, come baby, come, sit. The idea behind designating food times is that you don't want them to be eating around the clock, because if they're eating around the clock, when it's time for lunch, breakfast and dinner, they'll be full, you know, full from the little scraps that they're eating around the clock. So you want them to be hungry enough, not dying, but hungry enough to be interested in the food that they're eating, to actually want to eat. I honestly don't take that advice enough, or sometimes, because there are exceptions, like even when she's teething and she doesn't want food at all. Like I don't designate food times, I actually add snack times, so that instead of giving her 3 full meals, I give her like 5 smaller meals, so that she's eating more, snacking more, so that she's putting on the weight, because she loses weight really quickly, especially when she's not eating because of teething, right? So even though I have designated food times, I know that I have to be flexible based on what is happening with her. So you have to really be flexible in this, and this is the next point, you have to be flexible. If it is that I see that Zoya does not want to sit on the high chair, what am I going to do? Force her to sit on the high chair? No. So I allow her to eat on the go if she wants, but it's not all the time. So she knows that, you know, so it's just like a 1 time or a 2 time, but it doesn't happen often. But I always start her off in the high chair first, and then I'll see, does she want to stay? If not, right? So I really have to be flexible with Zoya. If I realize that she doesn't want all of her food on the plate one time, she wants it one by one, which is a trait that she has, I have to painstakingly feed her one by one. But as long as she's eating, right? So it's like anything that you need to do, you do, right? Another thing is that I just leave her to be. And this is under the category of being flexible. I just leave her. Sometimes when she's eating, I realize that she just needs the food with, Mama, can you open the window please? Open it. Sometimes I realize that she just needs the food with a side of dirt on it. Like she just needs dirt to be on it. So I put her on the high chair and she throws the food on the floor. And then I take it up and she eats it. But it's like she won't eat it unless there's a little bit of dirt on it. So what did I do? I don't chastise her or anything. I ensure that the floor is clean, so that when she throws it on the floor, I feel good enough to pick it up and actually give her so that she can eat it, right? And then sometimes, I don't know, sometimes in my head I'm like, do you want to go on the floor? You throw the food on the floor because you want to go on the floor. So I put her on the floor and she eats everything. And sometimes I realize that even with juices, she doesn't want to drink the juice. She wants to throw the juice in the rice, in the chicken, in the beans, and mix up everything into a cold soup, and then she'll eat anything. I have passed the stage where I'm flustered about it. Past the stage where I'm creeped out about it, and just leave her to do whatever she wants with the food, because it's what do you call it, a sensory experience in a way, and she's eating it, so why not, right? There are a lot of things that we try to control as parents, and that is really the problem that we get ourselves in, because we're trying to control, and when it doesn't go that way, we lose all, you know, focus. We get frustrated and everything. So just loosen the reins a bit, especially as it comes to food time. We want them to grow healthy, have a healthy appetite, appreciate food. So what we need to do is just allow them to discover food for themselves. The next thing is, I try not to force her. I know, especially during teething time, it's really, especially during teething time, it's really stressful for her not to eat, and you really want to like force a baby to eat. But if you force them, then they'll feel pressure to eat, and they'll build up this resistance against food. And you want food to be exciting and fun and nice. You don't want food to be you don't want food to come with this added pressure of eating, because they won't eat if you try to force them. Another thing that I do is create a distraction-free environment. No TV, no phones, no toys, as much as possible, right? So you create a distraction-free environment, so that the only thing that they're focused on is the food in front of them at that time. So they're not stimulated by other external factors, they're stimulated by the food. Mama? She just fell. So they're stimulated by the food. So another thing is that, you try different forms of food at different times. The thing is, multiple exposures actually work. So if you realize that they don't like when you bake, or they don't like when you boil Irish potato, try frying it, putting it into a different form, putting it into fries. They don't like the full one, so mash it, right? They probably don't like baked chicken, fry the chicken. And if they don't like the egg today, give them tomorrow. If they don't like it tomorrow, continue giving them piece until maybe they bite off a little piece, and that's it. And then they surprise you another time when they eat the entire thing. So multiple exposures actually work, and different forms of the same food work. If they don't like the liquid yogurt, try freezing it. Try the frozen one, right? So it actually works. So kind of like trick them, okay, if they don't like the broccoli, bake it into something. But a tip that I would actually give is to try it initially in its original form, so that you start out with the original form. Because yes, they have preferences, but they don't really know that some food exists. They don't really know that some food exists in some forms. All they know is that this is food, right? Because they're literally babies. Their palettes are empty, their slates are empty. It's up to us to actually decorate it and write on it. So some of our preferences, what I realize is that we put our preferences on our babies. They're not going to eat this without salt, they're not going to eat this without sugar, but they don't know that sugar and salt exists. They don't know, right? They don't know that unhealthy exists. Zoya snacks on cucumbers and tomatoes because she doesn't know that sweets exist, right? I don't give her sweets. Obviously, she's going to get sweets from external factors when she grows up, but right now she doesn't know that sweets exist. So in my head, a reward is not sweets, a reward is cucumber, especially for her, because she doesn't know that unhealthy exists. So a lot of our unhealthy traits that we put on babies because we think this is what they like, because this is what we like, because we've been conditioned to like them based on all of those things, right? Anyways, this is kind of like preaching right now. I don't want to preach. So those are my tricks and tips that have worked with Zoya, and she really has a healthy appetite. Appetite? Say appetite. Appetite. So I hope this helps you as well. And this is it from CB Mama Log. So say bye. Say bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Remember to subscribe and like, share, comment. Subscribe. If you don't subscribe yet, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.
Thank you.
Say thank you. Thank you. Say subscribe. 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 Alright. That's it from my girl and I. Give me a hug. Give me a hug.
Oh.
Mm.